The things you were told to work hard for, the steady paycheck, the pension, the job security, those aren't assets, those are leashes. And the people who taught you to chase them, most of them never became wealthy either. The system wasn't designed to make you rich. It was designed to make you useful. Useful to someone else's dreams, someone else's company, someone else's retirement. And here's where most people lose before they even begin. They spend decades trading the most valuable thing they'll ever own, their time, for something that disappears the moment it's earned. A paycheck is gone the second it arrives. But an asset works while you sleep. It grows while you eat. It compounds in silence. That's not theory. That's architecture. And I've always believed this. If you don't build something that earns while you rest, you will spend your entire life having to work, not choosing to. So if I had to start again from nothing, from zero, from scratch, here's what I'd build first. 5 assets, not stocks, not real estate portfolios, not things that require millions to begin. 5 foundational assets that compound quietly and then one day make everything else possible. Let me show you the first one. It's not a stock, not a property, not a fund. It's the asset you were born with and have been systematically underinvesting. And ever since you left school, your mind, before you skip ahead, just hear me out because this isn't a motivational line. This is the most serious financial advice I can give you. I've said this for decades. The best investment you can make is in yourself. Not in the market, not in real estate, not in any external asset. In yourself first, always. Here's why. That's not just a slogan. Every external asset can lose value. Markets crash, properties flood, businesses fail. But knowledge, the ability to think clearly, decide wisely, understand human behavior, that can never be taken from you. I call this asset the compounding mind. Here's how it actually works. Every skill you acquire doesn't just add to your value, it multiplies it. Someone who learns to communicate clearly is useful. Add the ability to sell an idea. Suddenly they can move people. Add financial literacy. Add leadership. Add psychology. Each skill alone incremental. Together exponential. A person who understands human behavior, manages money intelligently, communicates ideas powerfully, and leads others doesn't become twice as valuable. They become 40 times more valuable because the skills compound off each other. This is the mistake I see over and over. People get good at one thing and then they stop. They stop reading, stop learning, stop pushing their mind into uncomfortable territory, and slowly and visibly they become less valuable. Not dramatically, not overnight, but the way a muscle atrophies when it's never used. Let me make this concrete. 2 people at age 25, same background, same starting salary, same potential. Person A spends evenings scrolling and recovering from the workday. Person B spends 1 hour a night reading in business, psychology, biography, history, just 1 hour. After 1 year, the difference is invisible. After 5 years, person B thinks differently, connects ideas others can't connect, sees opportunities. Person A walks right past. After 10 years, unrecognizable gap. Person B doesn't just have a better job, they have options. Person A doesn't even know exist. Most people miss this. The enemy of the compounding mind isn't laziness, it's comfort. The moment life becomes comfortable enough that you stop pushing, that's when your most powerful asset starts declining. I've read voraciously my entire life, not out of discipline. Because I understood early that every great decision I've made traces back to something I learned, studied, or deeply considered. Knowledge is the only asset that compounds with zero market risk. Your action for asset number 1, 1 hour a day, learning something that makes you more valuable. Not social media, not passive entertainment. Learning do that for 5 years and you will not recognize who you become. But here's the thing, and all the compounding mind is the foundation. Without it, every other strategy eventually fails. With it, even a slow start becomes unstoppable. Now the second asset, and this is where most people fail completely. 2 doctors, same medical school, same specialty, same hours. One earns $300,000 a year, the other earns $3,000. Same work, same skills. What's the difference? One sells their time, the other built systems. The first doctor trades hours for dollars. The moment they stop working, income stops. The second wrote a book, licensed a method, built a brand. Their income doesn't require their presence. If you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die. That's not philosophy. That's math. Here's where most people go wrong, and they think leverage is only for the already wealthy, that you need capital before you can build systems. That's backwards. The most powerful lever you can pull first costs almost nothing. It's called distribution. The internet gave every person alive access to a global audience. The ability to share knowledge, skills, and value with millions of people simultaneously, and most people use it to scroll. Here's what I've always believed. If you understand something that others struggle with, that understanding is an asset. If you can teach it, document it, share it, it becomes a distributable asset. Something that reaches 1 person or 10 million people with the same effort from you. Here's the structure of how normal people build this. Develop the skill deeply. Document the process in real time. Video, writing, audio, build trust with an audience. Then systematize. Create a course, a product, a service, something that delivers your knowledge without requiring your time for every transaction. A 35-year-old accountant sharing financial tips online can build an audience, then a course, then recurring revenue that exceeds their salary. A parent who paid off $80,000 of debt in 3 years has a story. That story is a business. Here's what I want you to understand. You don't start by building the machine. You start by becoming the machine. Develop the skill. Share the journey. Let the audience build. Then systematize from the audience. Most people skip straight to the product before they've built the skill or the trust. That's why they fail. Pay attention to this. M. It matters more than most people realize. You don't build the leverage machine by being impressive once. You build it by being consistently valuable over time. Trust compounds slowly, and then suddenly it becomes the most powerful business asset you have. This is the mistake I see over and over. Waiting to be perfect before starting. Wanting the studio, the logo, the polished brand, everything ready before beginning. And while they wait, the people who started ugly, scared, and imperfect are already 3 years ahead. Their leverage machine is running. The leverage machine doesn't just generate income, it generates freedom. And freedom changes the quality of every decision you make from that point forward. Your action for asset number 2. Ask yourself one question. What do I know that others would pay to learn or benefit from? Write the answer down. That's where your machine begins. But even if you build this perfectly, there's a silent force working against everything you create. And if you don't understand the third asset, it will quietly erase every dollar you earn. Here's where most people get this completely wrong. They think saving money is building wealth. It isn't. What happened to the money your parents saved? They were careful, disciplined, put money away consistently for decades, and somehow it still wasn't enough. One word: inflation. Here's the number that should permanently change how you think about money. At 7% inflation, the purchasing power of your savings halves in 10 years. The $100,000 you save today buys what $50,000 buys now by 2035 without making a single bad decision, without any crash, just by keeping cash in a savings account. While you saved, inflation quietly stole half of it. That's not bad luck. That's the system working exactly as it's designed. So what fights inflation and wins? I call it simply real assets. Cash is ice. In normal temperatures, it looks fine. But in the heat of inflation, it clears throat, melts slowly, steadily, invisibly. Real assets are stone. They hold. Many grow heavier with time. What are real assets? Productive businesses, real estate, index funds tracking real economic growth. Skills that increase your earning power faster than prices rise. I've always believed this. In periods of rising prices, you want to own businesses, not cash. Businesses with pricing power raise what they charge as costs rise. They don't just survive inflation. Like they write it, their value grows with the rising tide. A savings account at 2%, it loses ground every single day. Inflation runs hotter. Now here's the contrast that should make this real for you. Person A saves $500 a month in a savings account at 2% interest. Careful, disciplined, losing ground to inflation the entire time. Person B invests $500 a month into a broad market index fund, historically returning around 10% annually over the long run. Same monthly amount, same discipline, completely different outcome after 30 years. The difference isn't marginal. It's life-changing. Not because person B was smarter, not because they timed the market, because they stayed in the market consistently without panicking. Time in the market beats timing the market every single time. Here's the real skill. It's not the selection, it's the holding. When markets drop 30%, most people panic and sell. They lock in the loss, wait for safety, and by the time it feels safe, the recovery has already happened without them. If you'd invested $10,000 in the S&P 500 in 1990 and never touched it, you'd have over $200,000 by 2020. Same market everyone else was in, different discipline. If you think you don't have enough to start, hear this. Start with $20. Start with $50. The amount matters far less than the habit. Pay yourself first and before any other expense. That single decision made consistently separates people who build wealth from people who wonder where their money went. Your action for asset number 3. Look at where your money is sitting right now. If it's in cash, it's losing ground every day. Start moving even small amounts into assets that generate real returns. Now, the fourth asset has nothing to do with money directly. But in my experience, it determines financial outcomes more powerfully than almost anything else. And most people never see it coming. This is the part nobody sees coming. Most people spend years perfecting skills, building systems, investing carefully, and still wonder why the best opportunities never seem to reach them. Here's the answer. The best business decisions of my life didn't come from a spreadsheet. They came from a phone call, a conversation, a relationship built slowly over years with someone I trusted completely. Here's what the textbooks never teach. The world doesn't reward talent in isolation. It rewards talent that is trusted. You could have every asset we've discussed, a trained mind, a leverage machine, a solid investment base, and still go nowhere. Because if nobody trusts you, if you haven't invested in relationships the way you invest in everything else, opportunities flow around you, not toward you. This is the fourth asset. I call it social capital. And let me be direct about what this actually means. And because networking has been so misused, it's become almost meaningless. Networking, as most people practice it, is transactional. Collect contacts, exchange information, hope someone remembers you. That's not social capital. Social capital is the depth of trust that specific important people have in you. It's your reputation in rooms you're not in. It's the call you receive because someone said 3 years ago that you were the most reliable person they'd ever worked with. Think about this honestly. The most significant opportunities in your life, and were they from a public job posting or from someone who knew you, believed in you, and made a decision on your behalf? For almost everyone, it's the latter. The best opportunities never get advertised. They flow through trust networks, and you're either inside those networks or you're watching from the outside. Very few people understand this. The people who build social capital well are genuinely generous before they ever ask for anything. Not strategically, genuinely giving time, advice, introductions, and attention because they understand that trust builds slowly and pays back in ways you can't predict. And they follow through every single time? Think about how rare that actually is. Most people can count on one hand the number of people in their lives who consistently do exactly what they say they'll do. Those people are magnetically valuable. They attract opportunities the way great businesses attract loyal customers, not through marketing, through performance. Now, here's where things go wrong for most people. They focus entirely on building the right skills, but completely ignore building the right relationships. They optimize for competence and forget trust. And then they're frustrated when opportunities flow to people who seem less qualified. Those people aren't less qualified, they're just more trusted. Here's the second layer most people miss. Your environment shapes the ceiling of what you believe is possible. If everyone around you has the same income, the same habits, the same conversations about money, that becomes your reference point for normal. And normal is invisible. You stop questioning it. But if you're in rooms where building something is the standard, where people talk about assets, ideas, and growth, that becomes your normal instead. I've always said you become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, not as a quote, as an economic reality. Their standards become yours. Their habits become yours. Their language shapes your thinking about what's achievable. Your action for asset number 4. Audit your 5 people. Are they raising your standards or have their limits quietly become yours? Change the room or bring so much value to your current one that you start elevating what's expected. Now we've covered 4 assets, all of them powerful, all of them buildable. But here's the one that makes or breaks everything else. Without this, the other 4 eventually collapse. If you miss this, nothing else works. And I mean that literally. There have been moments in my life, and there will be moments in yours when everything looks wrong. The market drops. A decision you were confident about turns out to be a mistake. People you trusted let you down. In those moments, there is a force inside you that either holds or doesn't. If it holds, you stay the course, extract the lesson, and move forward. If it doesn't, you make fear-based decisions. You sell at the bottom. You abandon the plan. You lock in the loss. The 5th asset is what determines which person you become in those moments. I call it the unshakable core. And I want to be direct. This is not soft advice. This is the most financially important asset on this list. The wealthy don't just make better investments. They make fewer emotional decisions. When the market crashes 40%, they don't panic. They buy. When a business fails, they don't spiral. They analyze, learn, and rebuild. When people doubt them, they don't need validation. They get quieter and more determined. That emotional discipline, sort of staying clear when everything feels uncertain, is worth more than any specific investment strategy on earth. Here's why it matters practically. Hand 2 people the exact same portfolio, the exact same strategy, the exact same starting point. One holds through a market correction and comes out ahead. The other panic sells at the bottom, waits for things to feel safe, and misses the entire recovery. Same assets, completely different results because of one thing, who they are. When it gets hard, here's what people don't realize. Most people try to fix their actions without addressing their identity. They create budgets and break them, start investing, and panic sell, begin building, and quit when it gets hard. They blame discipline. But discipline isn't the issue. Identity is. If somewhere in your mind you carry the belief that people like me don't build wealth, no strategy will stick. You'll find ways to self-sabotage. Not consciously, but consistently, because your behavior will always align with your identity, not your goals. The person who genuinely sees themselves as a builder behaves differently in every financial moment. Not because they have more willpower, because their identity demands a certain standard. I've always known with a certainty that sometimes surprised people close to me that I would build something significant. Not because I was certain which investments would work, but because I had decided at a fundamental level who I was. That identity made thousands of small daily decisions for me. Read instead of watch, invest instead of spend, hold instead of panic, think in decades when everyone around me was thinking in quarters. Here's how you build this practically. You build the unshakable core by keeping promises to yourself. Small ones every day. Wake up when you said you would. Resist the impulse to spend what you plan to save. Sit down and work on what matters when the easier option is always available. Each of those feels insignificant. They are not. They are compounding your identity. The same way money compounds in a good investment. Over time, 6 months, a year, you become someone who trusts themselves. And the person who trusts themselves makes better financial decisions than the person with the best spreadsheet every single time. Your action for asset number 5. Pick one daily promise to yourself. Keep it for 30 days. Not because it makes you rich in 30 days, because it proves to yourself that you follow through. That proof is the foundation of everything else. Now let's turn all 5 assets into a real framework you can start building today. Knowledge without action is just entertainment. So here it is. 4 steps buildable in sequence startable today. Step 1, awareness. Before you build anything, you need to see clearly. Most people are operating in financial fog. They don't know exactly what their habits cost them. They don't know what story is running in their mind about money. They don't know what their 5 daily relationships are doing to their ambition. Clarity is the first form of wealth. Here's the honest audit. 5 questions written down, not just considered. Number 1, what am I learning right now that will make me more valuable a year from today? Number 2, do I have any asset, any system, skill set, or investment working for me outside my job? Number 3, where is my money sitting and is it beating inflation? Number 4, are the 5 people I spend the most time with raising my standards or matching them? Number 5, what is the story I tell myself about money when nobody is listening? These 5 questions are a mirror. They show you exactly where you are and exactly where the gaps are. Most people avoid this assessment because seeing the gap clearly is uncomfortable. But discomfort now is infinitely better than surprise at 60. Step 2, control. Once you see clearly, you direct your energy deliberately. Control is not restriction. Control is direction. Every hour is either building an asset or feeding a liability. Your time, 1 hour a day toward learning or building something real. Your money, even $50 a month, is a statement. I am someone who builds. Rich, your attention. What you focus on grows. Direct it toward growth, not noise. Here's the shift. Most people optimize every decision for comfort. Today, the discipline of asset building is making a percentage of your daily choices for your future self. Not all of them, just enough that your future self recognizes the investment. 1% better every day compounds to 37 times better over a year. That math is real and it belongs to anyone willing to use it. Step 3, growth. Here's where most people quit, because early growth is invisible. You read every day and after 3 months, you don't feel dramatically smarter. You invest small amounts and the numbers don't look significant. You build a platform and for months, almost nobody watches. This is the valley and it's what separates everyone who makes it from everyone who doesn't. Here's what I need you to understand about compounding. Really understand it. It doesn't look like growth for a long time. Then it looks like explosion. The first several years look almost flat. Then the curve bends sharply upward. The people who fail don't choose the wrong strategy. They quit in the flat part right by right before the curve bends. Think about the oak tree, and for the first years, almost nothing visible above ground, but underground wide, deep roots building the infrastructure for everything that comes later. Your job in the growth phase is not to look impressive. Your job is to stay consistent. Keep reading, keep investing, keep building, keep showing up. Do that for 2 years without stopping. Then look back. You will not recognize the gap between where you were and where you are. Step 4, freedom. Freedom is not a number. It's not $1 million in the bank. Freedom is the point at which your assets generate more than your needs, and it starts smaller than you think. Maybe your leverage machine generates $500 a month. That covers a bill. That's a buffer between you and desperation. That's the first layer. Then $500 becomes $2,000. $2,000 covers rent. Work becomes a choice, not a requirement. $2,000 becomes $5,000. Now you're choosing how you spend your time, not just surviving it. Each layer of coverage is a layer of freedom. And here's what changes when you reach it. You stop making decisions from fear. You negotiate from strength. You say no to opportunities that don't align with where you're going. You make better investments. Take smarter risks. Freedom creates confidence. Confidence creates better decisions. Better decisions create more freedom. That's the full cycle. That's the machine running. And it starts today with awareness. Let me bring this home. We started with one question. If I lost everything and had to start again, what would I build first? And now you have the answer. 5 assets, 5 foundations. Asset 1, the compounding mind. 1 hour a day learning that makes you more capable and more valuable. The foundation that multiplies every other asset. Asset 2, the leverage machine. Build a skill deeply. Share the journey. Systematize the value. Create income that doesn't require your presence. Asset 3, real assets that beat inflation. Pay yourself first. Move money into things that generate real returns. Stop letting cash silently melt. Asset 4, social capital. Be genuinely generous before you ask for anything. Follow through every time. Get into rooms where growth is the standard. Asset 5, the unshakable core. Keep daily promises to yourself. Build an identity that demands a certain standard and holds to it when things get hard. None of these are dramatic. None of them trend on social media, but that's exactly the point. Sustainable wealth is boring to watch and extraordinary to experience. The people who build it aren't making headlines. They're quietly reading while others scroll, quietly investing while others spend, quietly building while others wait for perfect conditions. And 10 years later, they've changed everything. And not just for themselves and for their families, for the generations that come after. Here's something I've believed since I was very young. Someone is sitting in the shade today because someone planted a tree a long time ago. The best time to plant yours was 10 years ago. The second best time is right now, not when the market feels safer. Not when your situation stabilizes, not when you feel more ready, right now. Because conditions will never be perfect. Life will always be complicated. There will always be a reason to wait. The people who build something real do it anyway. In imperfect conditions with imperfect knowledge at an imperfect starting point, they begin. They stay consistent. They compound. And one day, not dramatically, not all at once, the machine is running. Before you go, 5 questions. Write them down. 1. What are you learning right now that makes you more valuable a year from today? 2. Do you have any asset working for you outside your primary income? 3. Is your money growing and are slowly melting in cash? 4. Are the 5 people around you raising your standards or defining your ceiling? 5. What story are you telling yourself about what you deserve as, and does it build you or limit you? Those answers tell you everything. What you do with them determines everything else. Go build the machine. If this shifted how you see wealth, share it with one person who needs to hear it today, not for the numbers, because someone once shared something with you that changed how you saw things. This might be that moment for someone you know. The next video covers the single habit that separates people who build lasting wealth from people who spend their lives almost getting there. It's not what most people expect, and it's the thing I wish I'd understood far earlier. I'll see you there.